Hey everybody, it's Steve here. Oscar's right here too. I'm gonna interrupt the usual videos to talk about something that I wanted to talk about before. And I don't know why I haven't. Basically, anybody who is from around this area is going to know that you can do a search on YouTube and you're going to find this video of this like 60-some-year-old woman, pushing 70, and she's a school bus monitor, and it's a good like 10-minute video of her being severely harassed and bullied by a bunch of kids on the bus. They're being very insulting, rude. One of them even threatens to stab her. And I was just watching that video, and afterwards I've been sitting here kind of in a daze. So I felt I really needed to talk and get things off my chest, because actually after watching this video I felt nauseous. I felt absolutely sickened. Bullying is nothing new. It's been going on for ages. There's been a lot of news stories as of late of children who have been bullied killing themselves, actually committing suicide because they've been tormented for so long and made to feel so terrible about themselves that they just can't take it anymore. And of course all this has always bothered me, and so seeing this video of it was just a kind of a different take on it. It's that it wasn't a child being bullied. It was a grown woman. It was a woman in her so-called golden years, if you will, or she could be anybody's grandmother. And it was just disturbing on a different level. It's a topic I've wanted to talk about for a while. Every time you hear about one of these stories about somebody being bullied to the point where they feel they have no other option but to just end it all, I find it very very disturbing. It's an issue that is very important to me, and I know I should have talked about it long before. I myself, when I was a child, was a victim of bullying, severe bullying. My days at school, and I know that I've hinted about this in the past, my days at school were spent in a state of fear, never knowing what was going to happen next. And it wasn't just one bully, it wasn't just one. Just like the woman in this video, I was surrounded by them. And there was literally no escape. It's not like it was just one person that you could find a way to get away from. Oh no, it wasn't just one. I guess ultimately where this is going to end up is, whenever there's a problem, you want to talk about the answer. I don't think there is one. And that's the scariest part of this whole thing, is that ultimately what can you truly do to stop this? There are those who will say that the responsibility lies with the parent to teach their children right and wrong, and to torment somebody, whether they be another child or an adult, is unacceptable. But ultimately kids are going to be kids. and kids can be mean and cruel and vicious. Sometimes not even if left to their own devices. It's usually picked up on from other children. It's part of being a group. It's part of, fitting in with whatever, the cool kids, however you want to think about it. I'm sure that there are those bullies out there who probably don't intend to be bullies. And I think that's even the sadder thing, because anyone who is not intending to be that way and who is being that way, the consequences, as we have seen time and time again, can be disastrous. I don't know what the answer is. What I do know, I've heard some people say that about this woman on the bus, is that why didn't she do anything about it? Why didn't she stand up for herself? Why didn't she lay down the law with these kids? I don't know her. I don't know anything about her life at all. But I can make a fairly safe guess that when she was a child, she was bullied. Because the way that she behaves in that video is exactly how a person on the receiving end of being tormented would behave. You just lay back and take it. And you withdraw into yourself. And you kind of just close your eyes and you beg mentally. You mentally just beg and plead for somebody to make it stop. And the sad thing is that nobody ever does. I've always said that I don't like to act like I'm hung up on the past. And for the most part, you're not. You grow up, you go on with your life, and in all other aspects, it may seem that it's a normal one. But whether consciously or in most cases subconsciously, the things that are done to us when we are children stays with us. When you're a child, those are your formative years. It's when you are being molded, if you will, into who you're going to be as an adult and how you're going to feel about yourself as an adult. If you're on the receiving end of being bullied, it stays with you, whether you know it or not. And I don't even say you. I'll speak for myself. It's there. Somewhere in the back of my mind, it's there. And it never goes away. The way that I have felt about myself most of my adult life is a direct result of how I was treated as a child. And it's worse out there now. It's worse out there today. I shudder to think, for my own sake, what would happen if I were in school today. It's getting worse, America. It's time to wake up, because it's getting worse. And like I said, I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is. Everyone, give these kids that did this a good ass whooping. Yes, your first reaction is to want to do that. But ultimately, violence doesn't solve violence. Hatred does not solve hatred. You can't beat somebody into being a decent, respectable person. I don't know what the answer is. What I do know is that there are people out there are children out there who are dying because they feel they have nothing, because they feel that everybody hates them because they feel like they're worthless. It's time to wake up. I'm sure that these bullies don't act this way at home. I'm sure some of them are on their best behavior at home. And when they leave the house and they go to school, that's their chance to act out. You know, I'm willing to give the parents a bit of a break and say that they probably don't even know. They probably don't know how their kids are acting when they're outside of the house, when they're at school. They probably don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is how it feels to be treated that way. And how you carry it with you forever. No, I don't think about it every day. No, I don't wallow in it every day. But I'm going to tell you this, watching that video of that woman being tormented on that bus by these kids, and whatever you want to call them, monsters, it instantly took me back to childhood, mentally. I feel nauseous. I feel like this fear right now because I know what it's like. I know how that feels. So to everyone who says, why didn't she do anything? And I agree, if she is the bus monitor, it's kind of her job to deal with those things, to keep order. But ultimately, how do you do that? And more importantly, it's different if, as an adult, if you're watching one child bully another, to step up and do something about it. When it's directed at you, it's a whole other story. I would just crawl into myself, into my little shell. It's a defense mechanism. It's how to keep yourself from going crazy. And I'm willing to bet that that's why she reacted to it the way that she did. I'm willing to bet that that's why. I don't know for sure, but I have a pretty good idea. Because you know what, after I watched that, I said to myself, that's what happened as a child. If I was an adult and if that was happening to me, you know, today, what would I do? I have a pretty good idea. I would probably do the same thing that she did. Because I would revert right back. I would mentally become a child again at that moment. I would just curl up into a ball and take it and just hope and pray that somebody, somewhere, somehow would come along and stop it. I can almost guarantee that's what would happen. If there's anything, and I'm not a parent, I've said this before, I've got all this advice for parents and their children, and I know I'm not a parent, so I probably have no right to talk. But what I am as a human being, that's what I am. And I'm going to tell you right now, if there is anything that you can teach your children and do your best, as best as you possibly can, to instill into them and ingrain into them, is to treat other human beings with respect. And to treat them, more importantly than that, to treat them that there are consequences for their actions. And I'm not even talking about consequences for them. I'm talking about consequences for other people. The people that they are doing these things to and saying these things to. You need to understand what you're doing to that person. You need to know how much you're hurting them. I don't know. All I know is that watching that video made me sick. And like I said, this one, and then there's also, just the flood of stories about kids who kill themselves from being bullied. And it makes me sick. There's no words to describe how it makes me feel. Because it makes me just want to let these kids, let this woman know that it's going to be okay. No one should have to go through that. And to tell a child, it's going to get better. This doesn't last forever. You're going to be okay someday. Even that's not right, because that's kind of saying that, put up with this for now, but it'll get better later. They shouldn't have to put up with it at all. I shouldn't have had to put up with it. And I don't have the answer. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's cases out there where you've got a parent doing the best they can to teach their children right and wrong, and consequences, and just to be nice to people. And the kid still goes out and does the opposite. I'm sure there's cases of that, so you can't always blame the parent as much as you want to. I don't know. I just know that this is a topic that I know that I've touched on here and there, but I've never fully spoken about it, and I don't think I can even fully speak about it in this video. I just had to say something because somebody has to stand up for what's right. Now, me sitting here in my apartment on the couch, is that standing up for what's right? I don't know. So to just anyone who's watching this, just know that, as tacky as it sounds, just be good to each other. It's hard. We're all guilty of it, even in adult life. It's easy to be bitter and even mean sometimes. Of course, we're human. But this goes beyond. You don't see a bunch of adults, standing around a person, insulting them and mocking them and berating them and threatening to kill them, and So why should our kids be any different? Why should that be acceptable? Oh, because kids are kids? No. Because I'll tell you this, I've run into some people, not many, thank God, but I've run into people that I went to school with. The very people who treated me like shit and who made me afraid. They've forgotten all about it. They're acting like we're long lost friends. Well, guess what? We're not. We're not. Because the person who does the bullying moves on. The person who's on the receiving end gets to carry that with them for the rest of their life. Not every day, not every waking moment, but it's there. In the back of your subconscious, it's there. In the back of my subconscious, it is there. And it is real. Everyone just needs to understand, and I've said this before, and I fully believe it, that what happens to us when we are children dictates who we become as adults. And if you are treated like shit when you're a child, you're going to think that you're worth shit when you're an adult. It needs to stop, and I don't know how. I don't have the answers. It's a problem that's been going on for maybe now in this age that we live in with video and whatnot. It's more pushed to the forefront because things that are happening, like in these videos that we're seeing of people being bullied, kids being bullied, adults being bullied, that happens every day. It happens every day, but we don't get to see it. So now, living in this age that we live in with YouTube videos, and somebody had a camera or a cell phone going or something, it was like a 10-minute video, that now we're actually able to see it, that kind of brings it more home. But it doesn't mean that it's a new problem. It's one that's been going on for a very long time. And it's probably always going to go on, and I don't have the answer. So, all I can suggest and hope for is to parents, teach your children. Teach them how to treat other human beings with dignity and respect. And on the flip side of that, if you don't have to be a parent to do this. If you know of a child who is being bullied, do something. Do something about it before it's too late. Before something happens that cannot be taken back. Words can always be taken back. Other things can't. Life cannot be taken back. I'm just going to wrap this up by saying to anyone who's watching this right now, if you are a victim of bullying, I'm sorry. I know what you're going through. I understand it completely. Please believe me when I tell you that it'll get better. It doesn't mean that what you're going through right now is appropriate or that it's right. Life does get better. Don't give up. And as hard as it is, don't believe the things up here that people are planting. The things that they say, the things that they do to you that make you feel like you're not even a human being. It's not true. And I wish that there was something that I could do to just make it all better. But there's not. And I really don't know what else to say. So, everybody hang in there. Be good to each other. And if everyone does their part, maybe, just maybe, we could, not even put an end to this, but make some kind of a dent in it. Because there's people's lives at stake. There's so much more I could say, but I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, everybody take it easy, have a good day, peace, and most importantly, be good to each other. Bye.